Okay, you're on.
What I was hoping to do is to take you through now. I've done 2 runs through with this whole process, and I can already see some areas that I need to improve.
Okay.
But what I'm looking for from you is to give a beating, because
Beating. Okay.
well, you know, you can never test your own shit. Huh?
Yep.
Let me set that. Yeah. I need to forget all that. So I'm going to set up a whole bunch of new tabs, of course. Oh, right. Just remembered who the planning bot is. Just remembered anything. No, that's fine. Okay. Right. So that's the planning bot, and then there's dispatch bots. Dispatch bots in charge.
There's nothing on
of,
screen.
Oh, shit. Yeah. So the planning bot is the one that knows about the whole schema. So it knows the structure of all the data objects, but it doesn't know all the live data. So it knows about all of these, but I'm just giving it the first item in each as an example. So it doesn't have all the data. The dispatch bot is there. I'm giving it some idea of who does what, and its job is to tell me which drone to send the actual request to. The test bot, I've just updated this, so we use a new one. Reset that. The test bot is there to do a sense check on the result back from the drone. And then we've got the drone. So this drone is, I'll reset this one as well. I think this is customers. Yep, it's customers. And so on and so forth. So what I was trying there just before we called, I'll try again. I was trying to be as awkward as possible, so I was saying that give me a list of customers whose last name is in the second half of the alphabet, and whose pickup is on a route with an odd numbered ID. Okay, let's see. This is right. Okay. GT manager. Okay, so what we should now have is I haven't done the tokens. Try that again. Okay, fine. I should have put permissions in this early on. In fact, I probably should just hand that off to my solution.
Yeah, that's kind of what I learned as well, is that permissions is always the last thing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what it's saying. List all route plans with an odd numbered ID. Provide route plan and shared routes, route plans. So it's saying go to route plans and ask it this. Go to customers and ask it that. And then list. This is not going to work. List locations based on location IDs from the shared routes and the odd numbered routes, because it won't know. Locations will not know that. Okay. It was doing better a few minutes ago. Can I just start a whole new... I think it might be remembering a previous session.
Okay.
I'm getting some inconsistency in the UI. I don't know if you're getting that, but... So
I don't use the playground very much at the moment.
Sometimes I get the old one, sometimes I get the new one, which is
That's annoying.
And there's the old one. It's irritating because in the old one you don't have access to the token slider, which is why I've kind of been respawning. See this maximum tokens?
Yeah.
That's not in the old one. Sorry man, this is a bit all over the place. Right. Oh, right, I've got a fresh one here. Good. And a fresh one. Brilliant. I'm going to create a few of these. Okay. Feels a bit like a hack, but that's because it is. Okay, let's start again. Alright. So, we're at maximum tokens, maximum tokens, maximum tokens. Okay, right. So, from the start. Planner bots. Okay, so there it is. That's ready. I'll set the dispatch bot. I just... I can undo it. Damn it. Oh, fuck. I think I've just deleted a whole bunch of stuff.
Surely you can undo.
No, I can't.
Why not?
Not sure why. It's not working. I don't know.
Use the Git. If you're going to pull from Git, just use the Git tools in VS Code to show you the diff.
Oh, how'd you do that?
So, see down the left-hand side, I will use my laser pointer. I've been waiting for this moment. Right there. Click on that.
Yeah, okay.
And then click on that.
No, that's a commit. I don't want to commit.
No, click on that.
Click on that. Commit.
Not no. Where my laser pointer is, see where that says changes? Yeah, that's what's changed. You added that. That's the only thing that's changed.
Oh, that's the test bot. That's not the only thing that's changed because I've not saved it yet. No, because I'm in dispatch.
Okay, well, if you save it and then if the undo's not working, and it's strange that it wouldn't, but if the undo's not working, then you hit save, then you can then use the Git system to. Your hotkeys are broken? Oh dear.
I'm just going to go in. This is the quick entry way. Dispatch bot.
Okay.
Dispatch bot. What if I just delete it? Oh, right. Okay. Oh, what's that binges? I could have guessed that. I was a bit worried it was going to be more. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so that's dispatch bot. And now we've got the test bot. Test bot is pretty dumb. All it's saying is just check without any knowledge of the system whatsoever whether the requests seem to be met by the output.
So now, see how you got these multiple tabs here, and you're planning to do some copy pasting between them all. where is the information on the wiring? Like, which bot should send its output to which other one?
That's under the planning bot. So the planner knows the planning knows the entire schema. The dispatch bot knows the wiring of who can answer questions.
So dispatch bot is the one that calls bots and then sort of relays back the responses and sort of does the copy. So dispatch is the copy paste, yeah?
Yeah, well, the dispatch does a little bit more because there's some logic in there that needs to do.
Right, but the copy pasting is ultimately done by the dispatch bot, even though the dispatch bot does more than just that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so when you want this exact setup in our platform, you'd be going new bot, new bot, new bot, new bot, and then when you hit go on one of them, it ultimately ends up calling the dispatch bot, which has the tooling in it to call other bots.
Yes. Hopefully this example will make that a bit clearer. So at the moment, this is the planning bot.
Yep.
Now, so I'll put this back in. Show me a list of customers whose last name in the second half of the alphabet and whose pickup is on a route with an odd numbered ID. A strange request, but it does. Oh, okay, right, yes. I'm going to have to take away permissions from this one. Okay, a few odd answers for true orders, which you focus on those names instead. Filter numbers from the previous steps who have pickups. Okay, alright, so what should do, take this plan. This is more for the process. So this plan then goes to the dispatch bot, and that's just a straight cut and paste. So it's boom. Okay, what do you want to do about this big boy?
Big boy.
So it was, alright, step by step. Let's do step one. This is step one. Okay. So I hopefully can copy this, and we now need route plans. So let's spin up route plans. So
how did you know you needed route plans? Sorry.
Because the oops, that's the test point. Because the actor
data source was route plans, and route plans is a bot.
Plans. Yeah. So
okay.
who we're going to ask. So spin up standard JSON receiver and provide it route plans. Run. Let's come back to the yes if it understands it. Yep. Then take this plan and give it to route plans. Okay. Alright. It's correctly done that. There's 4 route plans, and these are the odd ones. So then take this, go to the test bot, which is just trying to figure out whether it's coherent. Oh, actually specifies retrieving all route plans and filtering those with odd numbered route plans. Expected output IDs. Okay, it's been a little bit overzealous there. Okay, scrap around that one bit. Then back to dispatch bot. Okay, step 2. And it's now needing customer.bot. Which we don't have. So customer bot is standard issue JSON retriever. With the customer data. Should come back yes if it's run the checks. Yep. And now we give it step 2. Well, actually, no, we give it the whole thing. Okay. Norris, Olsen, Pitt, and Quinn, and Rivers are all in the second part of the thing. Okay, so
Yeah, but is that complete though? How do you know that's complete?
we can check it. How many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look at the original data. So customer data. So nope, 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 nope. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's the right answer. So then stick this into testbot. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Ah, damn it. It's not been doing a very good job so far. Yeah, okay. I'm ignoring testbot. Work in progress. So from this, that's the output from step 2. I'm going to put that back into dispatch. Okay. Okay, so what's it saying? Step 3, filter customers from the previous step who have pickups. Oops, data first inputs, customer ID, last name, routes. Okay. Now this is what this is the wall. When I sent you something last night, this is wall I hit, which is at some point dispatchbot has got all the information, but only dispatches, and this it needs to work it out itself. So I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's probably, instead of asking a bot to toggle its mode, you should just make another bot that just gets called, even if it's the identical script.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Toggling behavior is always hard.
Yeah, and well, we'll see. I haven't written that other bot, but see now it's got in the plan. It's correctly retrieved all the information from each one from
Right.
the original each steps. Now has all the information that it needs, and so should be able to work it out. But you're right.
Yeah, like it needs like another bot that's just like the reasoner or something that just dispatch should only do dispatch.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's the general flow of it. So from planner to dispatch, out to a drone, back to a test. Test not working. If the test fails, goes back to the drone, redoes it, then back to dispatch when the test passes, and then once dispatch is happy, it's got through the entire thing, then it goes back. What I've not got here is the original HAL, because planner is not HAL. Planner comes in after how decides that the intent has been discerned.
Right. So how figures out that it needs to call one of these bots, and then off
Right.
it goes, and
Yeah.
it hands over control to those bots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Exactly. So
does Hal rewrite the query to suit the bots?
no, all HAL does is discern the intent of the user,
Right.
and it might be a dead easy thing because if you just write us, give me a list of customers, it's like yeah, got it, and that goes straight to the planner. Planner would put that to dispatch. Dispatch
Mm-hmm.
would put to customers, and it'll come back dead easy. But HAL doesn't do anything else other than talk to the user and try and discern the intent. And once the intent is encapsulated in effectively a prompt, that goes to the planner to figure out how to do it.
Okay.
And then planner, dispatch, etc., etc. So, anyway, my question to you is, am I overcomplicating this? Does this seem valuable? I'm getting some, occasionally, depending on easier requests than the one I gave, test I just did there. I get some really good results just with copying and pasting. So, what was our previous one? Customers with last name starting with J. This has become trivial almost. So like, boom, single step, fine. Customers. Let's stick it in dispatch. Yeah, okay. Well, I see. It's not a new system, a new session. Anyway, right. Yeah. Is there anything down this this architecture route that you think actually you shouldn't be doing that, or you should be doing this?
Nope, no. So the workflow between all these bots, that's not something you're looking to have reprogrammed or altered depending on what the user is doing. That's just part of the system mechanics that we bake in, right?
Correct. And what I'm trying to do is to have generic prompts that don't know anything else other than what you've just told them. So this is why it's like Chinese walls between these bots. They know their bit, but they don't know anything else.
So the exact statement you made was, so by keeping most bots unaware of the big picture and just concentrating on their piece, hallucinations just disappear and it starts to work as an NL API calling an arbitrary dataset and carrying out functions that don't need to be defined until they're needed. Where is the function definition? Are you saying that there's some function definitions going on the fly here?
What do you mean by function definitions?
Well, you
Because
said
yes
it.
and no.
What do you mean by function definitions?
Well, the yes would be there's the instructions whereby everyone knows the JSON format, for example, and what
Right.
their responsibilities are, which you could count as function execution. If you are talking about how the functions are wired together, no, that's in my head. That's just as I'm clicking around.
No,
So
this is
there's no
your
information.
text message to me. I'm just trying to figure out what you mean by it. Like you said, it starts to work as an NL API, calling an arbitrary dataset and carrying out functions that don't need to be defined until they're needed. And I'm trying to figure out what you meant by functions.
Right. What I'm saying there is because it's natural language, you can ask anything of Hal, who will try and discern your intent, and then that will go to the planning bot. The planning bot knows the scope, and well,
So
coming back to the plan
you're
or
saying that the output, the plan, is the function definition.
yeah, Yeah, which is
Yeah,
based on the fly, and
right. And it's
there's
sort
some
of,
of
it
the
looks like you're trying to keep the natural language aspect of the request as long as you can. Like you're trying to pass the natural language straight through to the bots rather than trying to make them
yeah.
become traditional programs. You're trying to keep them as AI.
Exactly, and the prompts, which I need to tighten up on. The general is the action is your prompt. So it's in step one. That's what you're meant to do when I pass that to customers. Um, so for example, if we were to take this,
Okay, I think that you can fortify this procedure by building in a dictionary of terms as a way to make sure the natural language terms being passed around are richer than just what each bot thinks it means on its own. For
right?
example, I noticed that your test bot was complaining about numerical odd numbers versus
Yeah,
RP-01.
I'm a bit torn about this one because
Yeah, but if
every additional definition is uh,
but a dictionary is always good, and if you had a definition of what a route plan is, the format of its ID, and what it means, then it seems Testbot would, because Testbot knows that that's all that a route plan ID can be. I imagine it wouldn't complain like that.
yeah. I think also in tightening up, I agree. So at the moment, everyone knows about, or every bot knows about these definitions. So you're all agreeing with this set of definitions, which can be handy too, and so on. But I've kept it quite short for now.
Mm.
On this original one, what was the prompt? What is it? That's it. Oh, bloody hell.
I can still hear you. You there still?
And I'm back in the room.
Hey.
So if we were to be a bit nicer, so list of customers whose last name is in the second half of the alphabet and whose pickup is on a route with an odd numbered ID. If I was to be a bit more specific about this, which which I didn't know would pick up on a route whose
Right. So you could be getting Hal
has
to rewrite the request into standard dictionary based form,
right,
right?
right, exactly.
And it would
Which I
use
skipped
the
that.
keywords that were
Yeah,
unique to the system. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Route IDs. Second numerical part is an odd number, which should be fairer on the bot. So, two customers to the second half of the alphabet. We'll skip that one. Retrieve all root pound sizes, second part. Okay, so it should now just. Where is this? Is that customers? No, that's the root plans. Okay, I've done it correctly without complaining. So there is some tightening up, which is why this first step, the very first thing that the user should be talking to, is some a HAL that tightens up their request,
Yeah,
because
the
you
hell,
know
the
they
hell, yeah,
really
the hell takes the sloppy human and makes them a concise email request,
right, yeah, exactly, and coherent. It's
and
like,
it
well,
sort
what
of,
do you
yeah, it
actually
goes
mean by
back and
root?
forth with them before. So is this orchestration of bots you've got at any point interacting with the customer, or is it simply once the plan is made and it has no further questions, it's off. It's doing the thing, and it's
Um,
ballistic.
it only interacts, and I've not done this bit, but it only interacts with the customer if at any step, for whatever logical reason, there's an error, because these things throw errors. It's like, I don't understand what you're saying, and that
Shouldn't
error
that go?
percolates up.
That should go back to Hal first, to where Hal looks at the error, right?
That's right. Well,
Right.
actually, it goes, back to dispatch. Can dispatch deal with it? Can
Right.
planning deal with
Is
it? Or can
the
how
so
deal with
the
it?
error would really be an error of logic, right? Where it's like, hey, user, you wanted this, but turns out that, you can't have it for various reasons, or there's not enough
Right.
information. So,
Right. Exactly. It's
right,
when it's impossible. So, for example, I tried this yesterday, um, to delete a route without telling planning. So planning made the plan, dispatch made the plan, then I deleted a route that I was asking specific information about. And then dispatch went off to route plan, and route plan say, hey, dude, I don't have that route. What are you talking about? Route 5's been deleted. And then it went
right,
up, and it's like, dispatch can't do anything about that because it doesn't know about routes.
right,
All it knows is saying, right, okay, is the plan wrong? It went back up to the plan. The planner said, no, that's an error, and that went back up to me, which I'm the kind of surrogate Hal,
right.
saying, yeah, the route's deleted. So that's the sort of case that because it'll be a kind of multi-user system. If someone's fucked up something in the gap between you asking for the plan and it actually executing, then there's this error chain. I've tried it once and it worked, sort of. Conceptually it worked. Just like error, all the way up. Fine.
Okay. So, do you believe then that this orchestration system is sufficient to deliver the CRM on?
I with yeah, I think the architecture concept of passing between all these various bots and all the way back up,
Mm,
I think that's a sound one. Because on easier questions when I was testing these yesterday, I was getting some very precise answers back on some quite obtuse things, and I've been increasingly more obtuse in the questions.
right,
So
because the key being that you've allowed the spark of AI to carry through all the way down, so you can ask
yeah,
any question that is reasonably interpretable by a bot, and it'll
yeah,
come back and do something for you, right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay. So
Exactly.
the ballistic nature of it, from once the planner kicks off, suits our system well, I think, because if in the meantime you talk to Hal and you go off and do other things, that's just running in a branch, and you can come back to it at any time, or you can run a concurrent plan that's slightly different, and you can see which one you like best and all that. So I don't think
Right.
the fact that it's ballistic is a problem, because you can just fire off multiple rounds.
Yeah, or
Um,
you sit and wait, or you can, while you're waiting, if it's taking 12 seconds, 30
yeah,
seconds, or whatever,
yeah, yeah,
you can
yeah,
say,
yeah.
talk about your dog.
Right. Okay.
Does this suit the important thing for me is, does this fit nicely in with Artifact? I think it does.
Oh, it fits them perfectly, and I don't think you could fit it in any better, because the the scoping, or the narrowing of the view, is the isolation of execution, is the core principle of Artifact. You can't. The idea is that you can build wildly complex systems using very simple parts and good isolation, with orchestration between all those parts. That's the model of
Yeah.
Artifact. If you didn't need to do that, you would have no need for Artifact, and you would effectively be asking a single bot that was like
Right.
omniscient almost, hey,
Well, yeah,
what's
yeah.
this
You could
thing?
dump all this into one bot.
Yeah,
Sure.
we don't have that, and so we need Artifact. And even when we do have that, we need some kind of trail. But when the bots are that good, it's just a straight git commit at that point. Artifact is
Right.
worthless, I think.
But the interesting thing is there, and again, you asked a question. I think it was yesterday about do we still need it? The thing that strikes me is as soon as you add in two users, yes, you absolutely need to do it. So, for example, I'm
Yeah,
saying
two
we've got
users.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, someone could fuck up someone else's,
yeah, because we've ended up in
orchestration.
a we need to supply a multi-session, multi-user, multi-tenant solution. So it's
Yeah,
like a cubic of
right,
multiness, like
right.
multi-cubed.
Yeah,
So
and one of these the JSON retriever prompts um, need to be able to poll saying, is this thing locked, or is it being
right,
changed by
right. But
anyone
so
else?
just to clarify how locking works. Locking works by isolation. It doesn't.
Hmm.
It's guaranteed to be locked by the mere fact that you can read it and write it. There's no lock contention in Git. It's just merge contention later.
Ah, right. Okay. So we'll take the example I gave before. Someone asks a question about root 5,
Yeah,
while someone has just deleted root 5.
that would only become an issue if you then went on to make some edits to Route 5, and then when it came back to merge, you realize Route 5 had been deleted, which would kick off a reconciliation process. Someone's right,
Right.
can't be
Right.
both.
Okay.
But that's a problem in traditional software. And my personal view is that locking resources in an enterprise environment is extraordinarily complex and doesn't gain you very much.
It's also quite rude. Yeah.
It's very rude and it doesn't model the real world, and it also doesn't allow us to be decentralized and run offline. It is a globally locking a resource is an extraordinarily complex, complicated, error prone thing. And what the fuck are you doing anyway? Like, if you had a bunch of bits of paper,
Yeah.
like, you wouldn't, you'd get mad at one of the slaves if they were running off with a bit of paper while they went and did their job and then someone stuffed it in their pocket and went to the toilet. Like, you would give that one a beating because you're like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Don't mess with the record system.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
locking, it's not, it, I'll admit that there's a philosophical aspect to the argument that locking is bad, but I specifically chose to design our system to be lock free, and it's merge contention that we suffer instead. And I think merge contention is a better expression of what users are really trying to do in the real world rather than a lock, because then it's like, why did you lock that? How now you need to communicate. Who locked it? How do I
Right. Okay.
message them?
So what will
Like,
be in our scenario then? One person is retrieving and writing to root 5.
yeah,
Someone else has just deleted it.
yeah,
They both branch.
right,
Both come back. Their house come back saying, "Okay, here's the response.
right,
However, we've got contention with Sandra in the next office
yeah,
because she's just deleted the record that you were writing to."
yeah.
And then her Hal would also be saying, "You're yes, here's the answer. However,
In
you've
this
got
in
contention
that
with."
exact scenario, I don't think it's possible to provide a generic solution to merge conflict ever. But in that specific example, the we would make a plan that would be
Mhm.
able to check whose reasoning was more valid. Because an example of how I can see that scenario eventuating is that one of the owners of the business has reconfigured the trucks, and he's like, this route's changing. Boom. In the meantime, someone else was editing Route 5 based on a customer who phoned in and said they wanted to be changed. And so at that
Mhm.
point, you're like, well, the route deletion and the cleanup of customer allocations and reallocating customers that's going to take place because of that deletion, that's the correct thing to follow. This edit was not that edit doesn't override the delete. The effect of the edit will be clean. The effect of the edit will be achieved by the reallocation based on the route deletion happening. Where like that's an example of where you could, as an AI, figure out which choice of action to take pretty reasonably. But it's
Well, well,
extremely
well,
matter. Sorry.
yeah. Sorry. Also, what you've got with because because of the nature of NL, you've got two incompatible assertions, but they may not actually be. They could be, for example, resequenced. Perhaps the deletion was to do with archiving. And it's like,
Right.
okay, so we can make that edit
Yeah.
and then archive and
Make the
then
edit and
message
then
back,
do the
for
archive.
example.
That can
Yeah,
be one thing. Um,
it's because you've got the event log that says, okay, so
mm,
uh, Mike asked this, Sandra asked this,
mm,
they're incompatible. We've got the whole event log.
mm.
How do we get out of that? That's not
Right.
intractable, I think.
Yeah. Right. And the other sort of major area of problems that occur from resource locking is that it's always very blunt. And so if I lock a customer record, I need to lock the whole thing often rather than like just one field. Whereas like you could have concurrent edits that were editing different fields within
Mm.
a customer record, and because we had no lock contention, you'd have no merge conflict there either because they changed different bits of data.
Right, exactly. And you can hand that back to the AI, even the ground, saying, okay, so we've got what appears to be inconsistent data here. But actually, they are consistent if you, well, for
Mm,
example, if you change one field, that field has no knock-on effects with
mm,
the field that someone else has changed, so
yeah,
crack on.
yeah, and
Okay.
um, we can also say like as a simple rule to get started, first merge wins. So the first one to come back and merge, it's the late one that has the problem, and we can just choose some reasonable defaults and ask the sysadmin to settle it all at the end of the day, where it's just like it notifies them.
Now that's interesting. How would I do that? So,
It doesn't
do
need a
you?
bot. It doesn't like solving that problem.
Mm,
First of all, it's rare in this environment. It's rare enough that one human, so long as they know that it's occurring, that
mhm.
human can just say yes, that's this version, that version, this thing, that thing, whatever. So while it's an edge case that it needs to be solved, we can start with just its manual intervention on the merges, and they will be rare enough that it will not be a problem for us.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Okay. Um, one possible resolution eventually, then. So if we're relaxing that constraint, one possible resolution is dispatch whenever it's dealing with writes, um, gets asks of the various bots, comes up with what called a kind of self step, which is the action. If we have all writes done by dispatch, that's a kind of atomic action. Um, and so at that point, your first merge will be atomic action, and then a merge request. And if it comes back, it's an error. It comes back to the to planner and then to Hal saying that didn't work. There was a change, and here's why. Would be one way of doing it if we were to put in the atomic action of anything changing, because you can read as much as you want, right? But any kind of uh, create is probably not an issue, but any kind of update or delete is an issue.
Mm,
So anytime that happens and the merge doesn't work,
yeah.
put it back up the chain. Okay, that there seems to be a route to. I don't know exactly what it is, but there seems to be a route to
Yeah, well, I
making
mean, we
that.
can just rerun it if Planner comes back to do a merge and then it's like, oh whoops, it can just start again with the new data, run it again. Who cares?
Yeah. There's also the kind of the overall judge who's there to make sure that at whatever cadence we want runs all the tests to make sure that the data is coherent, and saying, well, hold a second, I've got a hanging update to a route that doesn't exist. And then has access to the event log and will be able to see why. And then could put it back up the chain. That would be another way of doing it. Okay. All right. That's not scary. I think that's well possible.
So okay, so you think that this model is sufficient to run the CRM on? So that means that I need to wire up the basics of those bots calling each other.
Yeah, and importantly, when dispatch decides it needs to call a bot, there's dispatch, needs to call customers in this case, what I think we should do is bring up an entirely new instance of customers with the base prompt, give it the customer data, ask it the question, have it retrieved, and then just dispose of that bot. So the drones are there just to be spun up and spun down quickly, so that they're not polluted by
Oh, like
multiple
their
or even
sessions.
in the
Yeah,
same
their
session.
sessions are always their sessions are fresh every call, right?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Now, the other thing of interest to me is that, um, for the purposes of efficiency, the results of an AI query might be better off stored sometimes, and this architecture you've put forwards with these bots means that when someone makes a new query that isn't efficiently answered by the current ones, we could generate a new bot and a derivation of the customer data that was kept in sync, so that whenever that kind of query happens, it queries the modified data in this built for purpose bot.
So kind of caching it somewhere.
Well, as part of the data storage system. So it's like how you have an index in a database. It's just a derived view of the current data that's been generated by a bot that got generated on the fly.
Okay,
You know,
take me through how that works. So would it be, for example, if those are two requests that were similar and had to do with the same overarching aim, that we wouldn't dispose of the bots that previously talked about that because they still know about it, and we'll go to those guys? Is that what you're saying?
no, it was more like, at the moment it feels like it would be an administrative action that we would do as a speed up. But it would be like, once we notice patterns in these queries, we can say that, often we're trying to look up, we're trying to reverse look up from route plans to customer IDs. Maybe we need a lookup table or an index file that allows that to happen
Oh, I see.
quickly, right? Just
Yeah,
because but the way that you've structured the data, it's downwards pointing, right? And so you're like customers, routes, and blah blah. But if you want to go backwards, you don't have an efficient way to walk backwards, starting with route planning or the piece of data at the bottom. You don't have a good way to go back,
yeah, that's
right?
true.
And so
Yeah.
you'd need
Without spinning up an entire new request, and without
you
it being committed, basically, without it. So if
yeah
I ask, my query was, what just happened? that would be an entire new chain. And the context is, you're right, the context is not saved anywhere. So it would have to recreate that.
No, that wasn't what I meant. You have at the moment. You've got customers, and then, or sorry, you've got route plans, and route plans contain customer IDs.
Yeah.
Inside a customer ID, is there a route plan ID for that customer?
Oh, you mean like a two-way ID? No,
Yeah.
actually, there's actually, it goes from customers to location, and routes only know about locations, doesn't know about customers.
And do locations know about customers?
Locations just have no. They're like the
Yeah, so that's kind of my point. That's kind of my point. Like
uh,
you can walk that data structure easily one way, but you can't walk it backwards because you're like, fuck, I kind of.
okay, all right. Well, that'll be easy enough to do. I'll need to redo the test data. But
Mm,
essentially, you're saying that a customer should know the well, it does know its location,
um,
but the location should know its
I'm just
customer.
trying to. I'm just because we're saying that this model is what we want to put forwards for the CRM.
Mm-hmm.
We need a way to deal with traditional data lookup problems, which is two-way, being able to look up the data any way we like, right? Forwards
Yeah,
and back, right? That's a
yeah,
traditional
yeah.
issue, and I'm just trying to think of ways that we can use this system without any further additions to be able to have those capabilities in it. That's all.
Well, my immediate thought is, remember about a week ago, I tried to I tried to get how to put the data into fourth normal form, which gives that property you just talked about. Um, and he didn't really understand it. It was a bit of a bum, you know, rabbit hole. But maybe if I had to go back and put in the data in fourth normal form, which is not at the moment,
You shouldn't. You
keeping the
shouldn't.
descriptions.
No, you should never ever have to do that. It should be natural. These normalized forms are they hide the data from the users, and I want to maintain the ability we have to surface the data practically unprocessed to the user, and it makes sense to them.
Hmm.
You go changing like fourth normal form, that's not gonna. Now that's a layer of opacity that's it's like,
Yeah,
is that my data?
yeah. It delivers it, but it makes it more obtuse.
Yeah, and
You know.
so all that I think we need to do is I'll make you some hooks that keep a second set of data that's based on the primary set of data, so that anytime that primary set changes, the derived data is updated too, and it's all kept in sync.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Although I'm pretty sure I could do that with just which one?
You what? Sorry.
Always as an additional point. So if we're to how many cars to take?
Well,
Two.
yeah, but you gotta at some point. Are you there?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you gotta
If I
at
was to go
some
through,
point
yeah,
consider the token efficiencies of what you're doing. Yes, you could do what you say, but you'd
yeah,
be dumping the entire data set into the context window every time. Like to go down, you'd only need like a specific ID each time, but to go back, you'd need to grab
yeah.
the whole thing, and that's not. Yes, it works, but that's not good. Um,
Um, if we're to add in just two-way descriptors, then so for example, I think this highlights your point.
mm,
Location data at the moment. Location ID, address, that long, that's all fine. Customer data knows the location they're in.
right.
Uh, Can't find it, but it does somewhere. Where's location? Let me check. I've not made a blunder here. Huh. Okay, that might be why I'm getting bum results. Customer doesn't know where the fuck the customer is.
Oh
Okay,
no,
my bad.
that's rude, Maxwell.
It's been performing quite well despite having
Despite having
porn.
some sort of a disconnection in its brain.
Yeah, I don't know when that was dropped.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, two-way data could be two-way data records could be one way to do that. Yep.
It would be then every time there was once the schema is done, it's fine, but
Yeah.
it's very easy to run through occasionally a whole bunch of tests saying, does customers know what the location is? Does the location know
Right.
what
So,
is?
like, if someone wants to add a new data format, okay. So, nothing in the system,
even. Yeah.
nothing in the system is the data formats are specified by the user, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And when you want to change the data formats, there's a manual update, yeah?
I go into kind of admin mode and I say I want to, like we did last time, add the hair color to a customer. And then it runs a bunch of checks saying, have you broken anything else?
Right. Okay. Okay. All right. So the general format you want then is Hal deals with the presentation to the customer.
Yep.
Hal calls the planner.
Yep.
The planner knows what tools it's got available and creates a plan to fulfill the request of Hal.
Correct, but does not have access to the entire dump of data, so it can't answer itself.
Right. So the planner makes a plan, and then it hands off the plan to the dispatch bot, which sort of dispatches and assembles the results back.
Does any self actions like let's count these, maybe even logical expressions in due course.
Right. And then once the final output has been achieved, that gets sent back to Hal.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And now when that final output included a write to the database, there's a button pops up to the user that shows them the diff of what they're about to merge into master.
Yeah. And that's the human commit.
And the human goes, make the change or make it so.
Yeah, and that's where your first come, first served works. Be written. Like whoever presses that button first.
Okay.
There might need to be a check if someone clicks that button. Someone's done something incompatible.
Yeah, I'll handle that under the hood. That's not that's a big can of worms that we don't need to solve now because that's so rare that it's just not a problem at the moment.
Yeah. Yes. Otherwise, yes, what you just described is what I'm proposing.
How does that relate to the stuck loop?
The stuck loop comes back with errors. So when someone's asked something and you got a line of errors back up.
Okay, I see. So the stuck loop is the same as the route planning loop, but it's
a failed plan. I can't do this plan.
Right, a stuck is a failed plan. Okay, that's a great definition. All right. And fixing those stucks how would fixes or solutions be integrated into the running system? Would it be updates to these bots?
It might include it because as the surrogate Hal now, which is what I'm at, quite often I'm saying, oh, that wasn't quite right. It's coming back with errors and saying, oh, okay, I see that. So usually I need to go in and...
you're modifying the sysprompt at that point, right?
right?
Right.
Or as you just pointed out, customer doesn't have its location, and so now I'm talking about a data update.
Right. So um, that would be an iteration on the help as opposed to a new help. This is the bit I'm really trying to drive at. This
Hmm.
system sounds like it's professing to be component complete, or big sort of
It's got
block
the promise
complete.
of it. Yeah, it's got the
Yeah,
promise of
but
it.
that's
Yeah.
not. And so innovation occurs on the system by modifying the sysprompt, but not modifying um, the orchestration pattern, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've picked an orchestration pattern, and it has good properties that you like, such as being enel all the way down. It allows the AI to still be intelligent, even when asked to answering mundane queries. The user can ask any kind of query any way they like. Um,
And the data itself can be arbitrary.
right,
Yeah.
right. But if you want to change that orchestration, that is a stuck, or that is a help where I would propose a new orchestration mechanism. Hal would still engage with that new orchestration mechanism the same way as it does with the one you've put forwards here,
Hmm.
and the stuck loop would still appraise the quality of the outputs, right?
Yes. So take a hard example. Say if we're getting strange, erroneous results because of a model change, and we want to put in a judge, which is not in this architecture. Well, it is, but only my notepad here.
Mm.
So
Right, so
that,
that's a patch on the architecture. That's an iteration on the help that contains this architecture that you've put forwards.
yeah,
And we'd
yeah,
try it out against our tests and all that, and somehow come to a decision that we want to use this help
exactly.
versus
And
the other one. Yep.
just really roughly how I would do that is I'd have a look at that as now as the human in front of Hal. I would talk to Hal saying, okay, so what's going on here? We mutually agree, okay, so you need a judge.
Right.
Okay, so let's get the sysprompt of the judge and then put it in place, and let's rerun using the event log the instances that made us think that this was a stuck, and does that sysprompt solve it? It's no.
Right.
Keep on iterating. It's no, and then once we decide it's actually better, then it can be deployed, sort of
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Now, moving on to user interaction questions.
Oh, can I just ask for 1 minute?
Sure. Yep.
I'll be right back. I'll
Okay.
get this on.
All right. Well, that's strange. Hmm.
Okay, back.
Well, hello.
Sorry
That was
about that.
very strange. That's okay.
Well, I can explain, but it's very mundane. But
Yeah, I don't need the explanation. I can guess.
but dealt with.
Yeah, that's good. Good on you.
All right.
Just, I don't need to know all the details, all right? Just like the bots.
Yeah. Sorry. All right. You're talking about interaction.
I was. So, we have a website. The user comes in, they authenticate with GitHub,
Mm.
but I am at the start assuming that people who come to that site are going to use the CRM, and more specifically, this particular customer's instance of the CRM. How
Hmm.
would you imagine it working if Hal was able to choose between there's a CRM, there's an accounting app, there's a dating app, there's all these different things in there? Is
Right.
Hal still
Let me think through this. So ideally, um, so what I'd expect is you authenticate, and here's your how. Your how has your summarized context. It knows that previously you've used a CRM, not just any CRM, but this CRM, dating app, not just any dating app, this dating app, etc. And then when you're talking to it, it would discern your intent. You go in there, you could say something really clear, like, I want to use the CRM. It's like, boom, great. And then that would be the intent, and everything after that, how we'll be talking about the CRM. If you came in and say something more ambiguous, saying, I'm feeling a bit lonely today, Hal, possible that it would ask a few questions. It's like,
right?
do
Okay,
you want
and
to
then
chat,
so
or do you
that
want
would
to
be
use
an
your dating app?
example of Hal would start a new thread once it had determined your intent. If it's like, oh, you're a bit lonely, oh, you need companionship, here you go. And then
Yeah,
it's like, here's a new thread, and then that thread becomes one of the selected dating apps
right,
sessions, right? Right.
right,
And then
exactly.
within that context, you can start multiple sessions, but you're still within Hal's overall thread of, you know,
Yeah, this is the context switch thing, which I'm still thinking through and may not ever work. But
yeah, because the context switch or the topic switch in a human mind is similar, but not exactly one to one with the session switch inside the app. And the issue becomes when you start to blend sessions between apps. Like if I want to do something in the CRM and the dating app concurrently, if my
right,
intent
and
is
you
best
end up,
matched by that.
adding in, this person on Tinder into your CRM. It's like, shit, no, I didn't mean to do
Maybe you did. I just
that. Uh, so one possible way is inside the portal is like, because you can spin up a HAL, right? And HAL will start off with knowing your previous context, but will always ask to start with, what do you want to do?
right.
So
So
it could be that you go in there yourself, and the context switch is right. I'm going to keep this session of HAL open. I'm going to spin up another HAL who also is identical to the first HAL, but now I'm doing work. Maybe that's a way to do it that's cleaner. I don't know. What I'd
well,
like to do is it understands what your context is from your discourse with it, and then switches in and out these sessions itself, and it's
right.
clean.
Okay. So
But
that sounds
that
like
might be
we can study that more. We'll defer it. So for now, what I'm going to give you is a website where you come and your choices have been taken away from you in regards to which app you're going to use. You're using the CRM. That's it, right?
right.
And more
And you spin out the
specifically, you're
context for that.
using
Yeah.
this particular company's CRM. So I've chosen for you which tenant you are and which app you are,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And in due course we can work out how to
And then we'll we'll,
not
we'll
do
try
that.
to
But it's
back out of
basically an
that.
installed
Yeah,
app. It's an installed
yeah.
app, isn't it?
Because when you
Yeah.
start with a blank HAL, it's like, what do you want to do? And you're like, blah blah, and it's like, well, here's these apps. I think you should install this one. And you're like, right, okay,
Well, actually, thinking about this, you could come
because
up with your generic how and
yeah,
say, uh, I'm feeling pissed off and lonely, and I've got work to do. And what how would then do is try and get you to uh, tell get you to be very specific about actually, well, so what do you want to do? And
so what
when
you
it gets
lose
to
it.
the so
Yeah,
what, it will
okay,
decide, oh right, you want to do the work, okay, fine. And then if it spins off another instance of itself, Now you're in that context, and all you can do is the CRM. So there's no cross pollution.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah. And Hal should be aware of the fact that it needs to decide at each moment, each input, are we still in this context or do I need to jump out one and above? And
That'd be lovely.
yeah, but the
But
trouble
actually,
is that
sorry,
the
go ahead.
CRM, the bills are being paid by this company's instance of the CRM. And so they shouldn't have to pay for your discourse with Hal on dating advice, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But the I was about to suggest is you go in your generic HAL, discerns that you've got work to do and knows that you've got access to this CRM, and then moves you to the context of that CRM. Inside that CRM, you can't talk about dating because it's just going to go,
It's
no.
gonna junk
It's
you.
gonna,
You should be dumped out into a different thread at that point. You're like, no, this is the thread for
yeah,
the CRM.
well, actually, the basic one is I have no idea about your dating habits, Dave. Let's get back to the work that you've got to do. So
Yeah,
you can't go outside the box once you're in the
right,
CRM
right,
box.
right.
Now the question is, how do you context switch back out that? Now we can try and get how in the CRM version to say it looks like you want to talk about dating. Do you want to switch context,
Right.
or we can
Well,
just have some kind of button
it
saying,
seems to me that the ability to switch between CRM sessions. So whenever you say anything to Hal, it should decide whether there's some open sessions that you should be switched into because that's more appropriate to carry on with what you're trying to do.
mm-hmm.
Or it would start new sessions that represent tasks to be done, like a to do list, and it would sort of work on getting you back into
"Oh,
them. But
that's
that
quite
thing's the
successful."
same. It's the same, but it also gives
Mm.
it a level jump when you're like, oh, you don't want to be in the CRM, you want to be somewhere else. And inside the case of, the company's paying and the user doesn't have their own account, we can just put in a gentle guardrail that just says, hey, if you want to sign up for our service, you need to go do it separately because right now you're on the company dime and we can't expend intelligence credits um, on your personal issues, except, Maxwell, except if we allowed a company to also pay for a psychological assessment bot as part of the, and so it looks at all of their discourse within
Oh, that's
within the company
obviously very
system.
convergent with the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
here's your mental health score, here's some advice, blah, 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 like whatever. But there is a place for us to blend apps where one, you can offer a package. Like, here's the, a,
It's that session switching, isn't it? Because roughly 2.5 minutes ago, you were talking about something about if you're just talking about CRM, you're talking about Mrs. Miggins, and that whole thread is unresolved. Say if you're waiting for Mrs. Miggins to call back,
mm,
you want to park that.
mm-hmm,
You want to do the next job.
yep,
You do this next job, and then Mrs. Miggins calls. Then
yep,
you want to restore that previous session.
that's right, that's
That's
right.
exactly the same as um, okay. So I'm doing work, and now I'm talking about I don't know neurodivergence, and I want to go into this other app, which is available either inside the wire for the organization or outside the wire, in which case I have to pay for it.
Yep,
But it is the same mechanism.
yep, that's right, that's right.
That's really
Okay,
interesting.
all right,
That's a
so
nice
we
way of
can
doing it.
safely park that. We know that that's coming, but we'll
Yeah,
park that for now and just say that this first version, you turn up, you're in the CRM, and you're in this particular tenant's instance of the
yeah,
CRM, and that's
yeah.
all.
And
And you,
there's hard guardrails that you can't
yeah,
go out that
yeah, and it's like,
unless you
sorry,
do something really interesting in terms of prompt hacking and so on,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
another
yeah.
topic.
And but and then we'll work on backing out of that to be able to let you switch between different tenants, different apps. But right now we'll just focus on switching between different sessions within the one app to get good at that for starters,
Right,
right?
right. And all it would be really quite simple. All we need to know is what apps or what previous sessions, because when we're talking about apps, really we're talking about jitter sessions, right? what JITA session to move to, and some may be blank. You've never used them before, but they're still available. And how should you be able to
Well,
know
that's a
that you can do
confusing
that?
thing. So we're talking about which which in-app
Yeah,
you want to go to. The thread within it is the jitter.
yeah.
The
But
thread, yeah,
what I'm saying is, how should know um, what is available?
yep, 100%.
Um, and that would be relatively easy to do.
Yep,
And you can say, okay, so you're working on the CRM and you've asked us something, but you've got an app that is you've got whatever you want, an app available for that. Do you want to move to another session?
okay. And so for our initial launch, the stuck loop will run as we actually plan for it to run permanently, which is it's at Hell's level, and
Yep.
it's working every time there's an action going into the planning system and coming out. The stuck loop is being engaged there.
Yes.
Then,
And
while it's
yeah.
being run through the route planning bots, the stuck loop is also running there on a finer scale where it's like these automatic bot generated issues are sort of being filed and whisked away and looking for improvement as well, right?
I think we can define, yes, I agree. I think we can define a stuck more closely now. So a stuck is a collection of data. The first one is the plan that failed. You asked it to do something and it didn't work. The second is the context around what it didn't work. So you know whether you need to change the data, you need to change the sysprompts, or change the architecture even.
Yeah.
But that allows you then to model that situation where the planning loop failed, and then make changes to it. So you fort,
Yep.
you make changes to it, and now you've got help that you bring back in,
Right.
and then boom. So I think
Okay, so that means that the this route planning
the
system
interplay.
is
So,
is a help. It starts as it is a
yes.
help because it
Yeah.
needs to be upgradable via Stux.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, also, a stuck is a failed plan is not true. That's only true because it's this help has a specific architecture, which is the route planning architecture. You can do any other kind of architecture that doesn't have route planning, and it's still a stuck with a help.
Uh,
You just
yes.
chose this
In
particular way.
one, yes, you're right.
Yep.
So okay, so we're to it's a field request. It's when the response has not met the request,
It's
which
a
is
it's a yeah. Failed isn't right either. It's a unideal request.
yes.
A request
And
for
the
improvement.
plan is easy because we're getting errors all the way up. So it's nice and black and white. But if you move
Right.
out of that and you ask
Yeah.
something in a different architecture, which
Yeah.
who knows what that is,
Yeah.
if it comes back and going, that's what I wanted, you knew my intent, and it still couldn't do it.
Right. So a stuck is a
That's the stuff.
request for an improvement, and it comes with the context or the commits around where that occurred,
Yep.
some background why it occurred, and a set of tests that know when it's been improved. That
Yeah.
data can be processed to be anonymized or desensitized so that anyone anywhere can look at that data and come up with a
Yeah.
solution that can immediately be applied to the specific data, and you're off.
Yes, and there's some. I'm guessing there's probably going to be something called a stuck fixer, right? Which is basically a modeler. Bring up the context where the stuck was produced, and let
Yep.
me have a look, and let me model, let me make
Yep.
changes in a sandbox,
Yep.
merge,
Yep.
all the
Yep.
way back, and it's
Yep.
like, boom.
Yep. Okay. All right. This is sounding like the skeleton of a system that can be fleshed out. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I'll try to build you that then. If you wanna like the way that I'm building it, it will not be strongly committed to the route planning thing. So if you want to experiment with different architectures, this is by no means committing you to one or the other.
No, that's all right. Actually, the The only, well, at the moment, I'm looking at is, let me get my laser pointer up because I like my laser pointer. Something to retrieve data. I think there needs to be a logical kind of how do you meet the response, and then off on one side is how, in order to what you're asking for is
Right.
the intent. How deals with intent. With that intent, how do you do that? How do you retrieve the data? And how do you test? So this part here seems reasonable for any knowledge retrieval. Now, if it wasn't retrieval from any kind of databases, would that still work? No, you wouldn't need JSON Retriever. You wouldn't need a planner because it would know what to plan. And so you kind of bump up to like a one-level bot for anything else. But as soon as there is a set of canonical data, which is the context that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's almost like as soon as you've got a data set, you need a planner. You need a query planner.
Right. Yeah. Because this is how this is how I would do it. On pen and paper. If I was being diligent about it, which I'm never diligent. But if I had a whole library, and I wanted to find a certain quote, the plan would be, okay, find out which section this topic is. Do I know the author? Can I find the author? Can I find the book? Then how to inside the book, and then come back. It's almost like if there's any kind of canonical source of information that you talk to, it's hard to see what to add and what to. You could probably remove the dispatch bot. You could probably go from planning, if you're doing it by hand. You could do the plan and then just do it yourself, but effectively
that's dispatch. That's dispatch. That's just the mechanical aspect of it.
And the JSON Retriever bot is the library or whatever the.
Okay, well, look, I mean, I don't understand all the prompting that you've done, but you sound confident enough that this can do all of the queries you can think of for the CRM.
Yes, but what would be lovely is actually find out what queries, because I don't use CRMs. Don't think I ever have used a CRM.
So we'll get it. So, we'll get it in place, and then we'll just see. Yeah. See what changes.
Yeah, but we're and this is the crystal ball gazing. At the current rate of progress, probably I can give you a good demo that is tight in the next few days.
Okay.
Then you're going to probably come back with stuff that I've never thought about. So a week, and then probably another week. So about 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, okay. So, and I am pretty fucking sure that I'll get the logins going this week. I've got a Howl loader. I've got where you can write to the file. You can tell it to write to the file that causes it to then point to a different help. So you can upgrade it itself. These bots, because the way you're just copy pasting, these seem trivial to do that. So pretty much once we've got the logins, making this bot system work on platform, I think, is like half a day. Like, it's really not very hard at all.
It doesn't sound hard, doesn't it? Because we're inherently dealing with text data in some kind of structure.
Yeah. And then the issues that we're going to face are performance related. So I'll just keep sort of fixing the most relevant ones as we go. It's pretty much, in my opinion, it's performance all the way in from here on, because it's the basic architecture seems pretty good in terms of the way that repos are set up, how they talk to each other, how user accounts are handled, how GitHub authors handled. I like how that's sitting at the moment, and it's really just the performance of it. We'll just add on extra features that are like billing, um, charging people for it, giving them feedback on how much money they've spent and how much they've got left, that sort of thing. But honestly, the overall skeleton is looking pretty good, especially when we just talk about how HAL will work for multi-app, multi-thread. Seems pretty good. So
It does. And on the performance side, performance is pretty shitty because I'm doing everything through NL. So any performance improvements will come through saying, well, we don't need to use NL for that.
mm.
We can use an isolate.
Yeah,
But I prefer not to.
that's a different kind of tuning. I'm having issues with like the
Yeah.
artifact platform being slow. You're talking about further tuning in NL at the
Right.
AI
Yeah,
layer.
yeah.
It can be
Yeah.
tuned even more. But
Yeah, exactly.
what
Because
you're doing right
it's got a
now,
lot better recently with
mm,
4.0, but we're still talking seconds.
yeah.
You're talking in milliseconds.
Look, and at the end of the day, I don't think those types of numbers really matter because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the human is still slowest.
yeah. But also the models are just going to get faster and cheaper.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, cool. So we're still going down the right rabbit hole then.
I completely believe that. This
I've
is
got
the rabbit hole to be in. This is
I've
the
got
one that pays.
confidence. I've got confidence in this model that
Hmm.
we've got.
It sounds pretty good.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is the one that pays. This is the one that exercises pretty much every aspect of our system, and this is the one that we can build out to achieve all the things that we've talked about. So let's fucking hit this one.
yeah. And the really exciting thing is I'm not going to do it yet, but I'm keen to do it at some point once we've got this all kind of stabilized.
Right.
Is how fast can we build something completely different, like us, an inventory system?
Mm,
And I suspect it would be half a day to get something that is completely robust and
mm.
NL generated. If that ain't.
Yeah, I don't know how to express it just yet, but there's definitely once we get an automated form of testing for these types of NL apps up, then the speed at which we can spit out very, very sound, repeatable, reliable systems will be like,
Yeah,
fast,
yeah,
dude, fast.
yeah.
Um, and
I
then
agree.
at that
I
point, we
agree.
can build out the network of other NL practitioners who are like limited by their current tooling, and we're like, here's some tooling, it's cool, but the NL also tells you how much you're going to get paid and tells your customers what you're worth. So
Yes. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the catch.
That's sweet though. Brilliant.
Mm.
All right. Well, I have nothing more on this side.
All right, sweet.
That was very helpful.
Okay, yeah, man, that's fun. That is fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop the recording and then
Yeah. Cool.